Here is a number that the Dubai development machine has never wanted you to think too carefully about. According to AECOM's 2025 Middle East Construction Review, projects in the region average 83% over schedule, not 10% over, not 20% over, 83% over schedule. That is the industry benchmark for the same construction environment where Dubai announces every few years another world record tower, another artificial island twice the size of the last one, another airport that will be 5 times bigger than the current one when it is finally complete sometime around 2050. And all of this is happening in a city where building costs are expected to rise between 3% and 5% in 2026, according to Turner and Townsend, where 46% of UAE construction firms reported struggling to hire specialized talent in 2025. Where over 80% of construction companies now expect a rise in disputes, according to a 2025 analysis. And where the Dubai Land Department confirmed that 173 developers had experienced delays in meeting project deadlines in a single recent year. The insider who exposes this is not a whistleblower with secret documents. The insider is the data itself. And the data has been sitting in plain sight for years, quietly telling a story that the glossy renders and the groundbreaking ceremonies are specifically designed to prevent you from reading. Let's start with the project that is the most perfect symbol of the entire dynamic, because no single story captures Dubai's infrastructure paradox more completely than the Dubai Creek Tower. The groundbreaking ceremony was held in October 2016. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum was there. The cameras were there. The ambition was officially announced to the world. It was supposed to be taller than the Burj Khalifa, at least 828 meters, with some unofficial estimates putting it as high as 1,345 meters. It was going to be the architectural centerpiece of the Expo 2020, in the same way the Eiffel Tower was the centerpiece of the 1889 Paris World's Fair. It was going to have 10 observation decks, sky gardens, a world-first sky mosque, restaurants, and a pinnacle room offering a 360-degree view of the Arabian Gulf. The foundations were completed by May 2018, and then the construction of the actual tower, the part that goes upward and becomes the thing, never happened. By July 2019, the tender process to award the construction contract was still ongoing. By late 2018, construction had effectively stopped. In April 2020, it was formally halted due to COVID. By August 2020, all mentions and renders of the tower had been quietly removed from the project's own website. The tower that was announced as the future centerpiece of one of the most watched global events of the decade had been scrubbed from the developer's own digital presence without explanation. Then, in February 2024, Emaar founder Mohammed Al-Abar announced the tower would be redesigned, reduced in height to below the Burj Khalifa's cap, and relaunched in a new direction. In January 2026, a full decade after the groundbreaking ceremony, he announced that the construction tender would be launched within the next 3 months. Still not launched. Still a foundation in the ground with a decade of ambition sitting on top of it and nothing else. Translation: they built a hole. Held a party around the hole, took the photos, removed the renders from their own website, redesigned the concept under a different name, and are now, 10 years later, preparing to begin the actual process of selecting a contractor to build the thing that was supposed to open in 2020. The Expo 2020, by the way, actually happened in 2021, and Dubai Creek Tower was not there for it. The Eiffel Tower comparison aged poorly. Now let's talk about the broader infrastructure picture, because the Creek Tower is not an anomaly. It is a pattern, and the pattern runs through Dubai's development history with a consistency that the city's promotional machine has spent decades papering over with new announcements. Palm Jebel Ali was originally launched in 2002, the same era as Palm Jumeirah, designed to be 50% larger, with 16 fronds. 91 kilometers of beachfront, 6 marinas, 110 kilometers of coastline, and homes for 35,000 families. It was paused in 2008 during the global financial crisis and left as a sand formation in the Gulf for 15 years. It was formally relaunched in 2023. In 2025, Nakheel awarded infrastructure contracts exceeding 750 million dirhams just to build the roads and utilities. The groundwork, not the buildings, with an aim for basic infrastructure completion by late 2026. No specific date for residential handover has been confirmed, though some developers on the island have given a target of 2027. for an island that was announced in 2002. The World Islands, the map-shaped archipelago that was visible from space in the promotional footage and became one of the most photographed development announcements in history, launched in the same era. Ord stalled spectacularly and remains largely undeveloped today with a handful of exceptions that prove rather than challenge the rule. Dubai Waterfront, announced as a landmark combining an archipelago and canal in the shape of an Islamic star and crescent, encountered significant delays and minimal construction progress and remains largely undeveloped. Jumeirah Garden City, announced in 2007 as a sustainable housing development for 250,000 people, has been on hold since the year of announcement. And then there is Al Maktoum International Airport, the one that is going to be 5 times the size of the current Dubai International Airport, with more than 400 aircraft gates, 5 parallel runways, 5 passenger terminal buildings, and an underground train system. Current indications suggest completion by 2050. That is not a misprint. The airport that is supposed to replace the world's busiest is scheduled to finish in 24 years. To put that in perspective, Dubai itself only started its serious modern development phase in the 1990s. They are projecting a construction timeline for a single airport that is longer than the era that produced every iconic building the city is currently famous for. Here is where the story moves into territory that directly affects the financial well-being of tens of thousands of individual investors, and this is the part that turns an infrastructure observation story into something with genuine personal stakes for a very large number of people. Off-plan sales accounted for 65% of all Dubai property transactions in 2025, according to Better Homes, and over 134,000 off-plan deals were recorded in that year alone. The majority of Dubai's real estate market consisted of people buying homes and investment properties that did not yet exist, from developers operating in a construction environment that runs an average of 83% over schedule, launching an average of 400 new units every single day throughout 2024. What this means in practice is that at any given moment in Dubai, there are tens of thousands of buyers waiting for a handover date that the developer is legally entitled to extend by 6 to 12 months under standard sale and purchase agreement grace period clauses before the buyer can even begin formal remedies. When handover is delayed beyond that grace period, buyers can file with the Dubai Real Estate Court, claim compensation under Article 295 of the UAE Civil Transactions Law, and in cases of developer insolvency, attempt recovery through the escrow account mechanism. The escrow protection is genuine. Dubai Law No. 8 of 2007 requires that buyer payments be held in regulated accounts, disbursed only upon verified construction milestones, and protected from developer creditors in insolvency cases. Dubai Law No. 7 of 2025, which entered force in early January 2026, further tightened controls on contractor registration, subcontracting chains, and accountability for construction quality. These are real protections, and they are meaningfully better than what buyers in many other jurisdictions have access to. But legal protection and practical outcome are not the same thing. The buyer waiting 18 months past their handover date while navigating the Dubai Real Estate Court, documenting every email, or checking the DLD's Okud system for construction progress updates, and calculating their lost rental income is not experiencing the smooth, high-yield investment story that was presented at the launch event, where the show unit gleamed under professional lighting and the sales agent quoted a completion date that was, in hindsight, a forecast rather than a commitment. Here is what makes the scale of this problem particularly acute in 2026. The Iran war that began on February 28th did not just affect hotels and airlines and tourism. It hit Dubai's real estate bond market directly. Bloomberg reported that UAE corporate bonds were the worst performers in emerging markets in March 2026, with real estate names suffering the heaviest losses as developers' bonds were sold off in response to the crisis. These are not abstract financial instruments. They are the debt that developers were using to finance the construction of the projects that the 65% of off-plan buyers are waiting for. When that bond market deteriorates, when construction financing becomes more expensive and harder to access, when the developers who were already running 83% over schedule now face higher borrowing costs and a softer sales environment in which launching 400 new units per day is no longer the automatic success it was in 2024, the pressure on delivery timelines compounds. The DFM Real Estate Index dropped 15% in a single week in early March 2026. Off-plan launches were postponed. Viewing appointments were cancelled. International buyers delayed decisions. JP Morgan had already said before the conflict began that Dubai's demographic expansion was unlikely to absorb the 300,000 to 400,000 new units expected by 2028. Fitch had already predicted a potential 15% price correction. UBS had already ranked Dubai as the fifth highest real estate bubble risk of 21 global cities. The war did not create those underlying pressures. It applied them simultaneously with a demand shock, a financing shock, and a sentiment shock in a market that was already carrying the structural weight of 173 developers who had missed delivery deadlines and a creek tower that has been a hole in the ground for 8 years. Let's be scrupulously honest about the genuine counter-argument, because this script would be dishonest if it did not acknowledge it clearly. Dubai's completed infrastructure, the roads, the metro, the hospital network, the port at Jebel Ali, the DIFC, the Dubai Mall, the existing airport, the established residential communities, functions at a standard that genuinely rivals and in many categories exceeds comparable infrastructure in London, New York, or Singapore. The Burj Khalifa got built. Dubai International Airport became the world's busiest. Palm Jumeirah became a functioning luxury island that genuinely delivers the lifestyle it promised. The Dubai Metro has expanded consistently and operates reliably. DIFC grew from an announcement into a fully realized global financial district hosting over 8,000 registered companies, including 500-plus wealth and asset management firms, up 28% year-on-year in 2025. When Dubai finishes things, it finishes them at a standard that makes the delays seem almost worth it in retrospect, which is precisely what makes the pattern so insidious. The wins are spectacular and photogenic and real. The failures are documented in legal filings, RERA databases, and the quiet frustration of people who paid installments into an escrow account for a property on an island that spent 15 years as a sand formation. Both things are simultaneously true. The issue is that the wins get the renders and the groundbreaking ceremonies and the global press coverage, while the failures quietly accumulate in real estate dispute tribunals and DLD Okud status reports that most international investors never thought to check before wiring their deposit. Oh, what nobody tells you, and what the $200 billion in announced but unbuilt or chronically delayed infrastructure makes impossible to avoid confronting, is the specific mechanism by which Dubai's development model sustains itself, regardless of delivery record. Each new announcement generates new investment interest, new off-plan sales, new golden visa applications, new media coverage, new social media content, and new demand for the surrounding properties that will theoretically benefit from proximity to the thing being announced. The announcement is the product. The completed building, if and when it arrives, is almost secondary. By then, a new announcement has been made, the media cycle has moved on, and a new wave of investors is making decisions based on a new set of renders. Emaar founder Mohammed Alabar himself explained the Creek Tower restart in January 2026 with language that inadvertently revealed the entire dynamic. The revival of the tower is a way to reinvigorate demand at Creek Harbour, where the first wave of residential handovers were starting to put pressure on yields. Translation: the announcement of the delayed tower's restart is being used as a demand stimulus for the surrounding residential market that the tower's delayed construction helped to finance. This is not fraud. It is a very sophisticated and legally structured development model. But it is also a model in which the announcement serves a function entirely separate from the delivery, and understanding that distinction is essential for anyone making a multi-year, multi-100,000 dirham commitment to a building that does not yet exist in a construction environment that runs 83% over schedule, and that is, as of March 2026, operating under the additional financial and geopolitical pressure of the worst regional security crisis in a generation. Do you have money in Dubai off-plan property right now? And what is your honest assessment of the delivery risk given everything that has happened since February 28th? Drop it below. This is one of the most important financial conversations happening in real time, and if this channel is where you come to have it honestly, you already know what to do.